Hello, and welcome to episode 28 of the Watership podcast. It's a bit of a freeform episode this week. As I may have alluded to before, we've got lots of stuff going on in the family, so I'm having to manage my time very carefully this week. So I'm not going through the book for the moment. I'm going to pause because we've reached the end of part 2. So we'll just see what comes up. I'm open to ideas at the moment. I'm just going to see what occurs to me. I'm recording outdoors again because it's quite relaxing. It's a lovely September afternoon, just enjoying the last of the summer. So I've been doing this podcast for nearly 6 months now. The first episode, the introduction, was recorded on March 15th. Seems an age ago now. I thought I knew a lot about Watership Down at the time, but my God, how much I've learned since then. But it's very interesting to me, the appeal of the book. It's one of those things. Try and put my finger on what the appeal actually is. For a start, I consider myself to be on the spectrum. I'm actually seeking an adult diagnosis of autism at the moment, which should be coming up in the next year. It may not surprise you to learn that. And I'm very self-aware in this, that Watership Down is one of my special interests. That's one of the symptoms of autism. Now, I don't use the phrase high-functioning autism. That's a misnomer. If somebody's autism means they can't speak and they manage to get a sentence out, that's high-functioning. So that's a misnomer. I've functioned as an adult for most of my adult life, but it has affected me. It's something I could have done with knowing about a lot earlier on in my life, if I'm right about this. And I'm very aware, like I said, that Watership Down is one of my special interests. There's just something comforting about it. I mean, for a story that contains so much horror, what is that? And I think it's the archetype, I've tried to analyse this, of that harmonious warren on that hill, with a clear view of the country all around. There's just something so appealing about that. It's just a comforting place to go to, despite all the things that happen to them. One of the worst moments in the book, one of the most horrendous moments, is when General Woundwort orders them to dig through the roof of the honeycomb, and that honeycomb is spoilt. The roof caves in, and they have this hole in the roof, and it feels so horrendous to me that wonderful space that's so well described and so loved in the book by the rabbits is breached and spoiled in that way. And they say it'll eventually grow over. And I always find myself thinking, yeah, but how long would that take? It's funny how that's one of the things I care about in the book most, how long the honeycomb roof is going to take to grow over. So yeah, it's a strange thing. I'm just rambling at the moment. There's no script for this. Like I say, I may not have surprised you with what I said about myself, and I'll keep you updated on the diagnosis when it happens. But if you know that about yourself, and you know that that's what you are, and you know that special interests have therapeutic value for you, and actually are about keeping you calm and keeping your mind balanced, then it's quite nice to be able to openly indulge them. So yes, this podcast is an open indulgence of an obsession, you might say, of if it's temporary, one would say a fad. But yeah, that appeal is strange. It'd be interesting to know what other people think about this, what they think the appeal is. For some people, it's mainly the film and the images from the film and the music that they find themselves being obsessed with. Others, it's the book itself. And all the images I create for Watership Down, I'm trying deliberately to create my own aesthetic. So, for example, I'm stepping away from the film. General Woundwort is not mentioned as having a one bad eye in the book, I think you're right in saying. So I've deliberately made my image of him a two-eyed rabbit. Believe it or not, that image on Instagram, check it out if you haven't seen it, is actually of a lop-eared rabbit. It's surprising what you can do with a bit of your photo filters. You just vignette it and take down the contrast, because it's a black and white rabbit actually, and you end up with that almost CCTV looking glowering image of this angry looking rabbit. And yet it started off as quite a cute picture. There's something from the eyes that look quite angry, which is why I started working with that picture. But yeah, I've tried to create my own aesthetic of Watership Down, of the images. The other thing, Keyhar with his head not black when he speaks to Hazel, because in the book he's described as having a white head with the black dots behind his eyes. It's important to do that, I think. It's important to just try and reimagine it a little bit. Go back to the source text and try and reimagine the book, not just ape the 1978 film all the time. That's perfectly understandable because it's a beautiful film. And some of the fan art I see on Instagram and so on, based on the 1978 film, is wonderful stuff. I absolutely love that stuff. Like I said, I thought I was obsessed with the Watership Down. Well, I'm getting more obsessed with it, but I've never been obsessed with some of the people I've come across, and that's absolutely fine. Anyway, I'm going to label this section Ramble One, and we'll leave it there for now. So, I've decided I'm going to call this episode the Unscripted Meta episode, and I'm just going to give you a glimpse behind the curtain here at the stats for this podcast. I'll say it's a very niche podcast, so not huge numbers, doesn't worry me, because I enjoy making it. So as of the 9th of the 9th, 21, and it's a quite appropriate date really, because as you'll know in a minute, obviously in America, dates are written differently. In America, you put month first, then day, then year. We put day, then month, then year. Well, the day and the month are the same on this date, so that's quite appropriate. So, as of 9/9/21, the podcast has had 2,357 plays, an estimated audience of 46, and 42 unique listeners. That varies a little bit. It varies between like 40 and 55. It's gone up and down a little bit depending on where I am with the episodes. Going down a bit more, the Listenership Origin, there are 50% of those listening are in the USA, 26% are in the UK where I am, so 3/4 are accounted for by the US and the UK, 8% are in Canada, 1% Australia, 1% New Zealand, all the 1% here, 1% Austria, 1% Brazil, 1% Israel, 1% Ireland. And then the less than 1% countries listening to this are Sweden, South Africa, Malaysia, Philippines, Russia, Germany, India, France, Jersey, Vietnam, Singapore, Finland, the Netherlands, South Korea, Thailand, Japan, Belgium, Spain, Ecuador, Greece, Indonesia, and Italy. It's been fascinating watching the country list populate there. And the gender of listeners now, at its highest, the female listenership was at 55%. But at the moment, it's 48% female, 43% male, 6% non-binary, and 3% non-specified. And lastly, I just go into the ages of listeners. So, 0 to 17-year-olds, 4%, 18 to 22-year-olds, 10%, 23 to 27-year-olds, 17%, 28 to 34-year-olds, 19%, 34 to 44-year-olds, 20%, the largest group, 45 to 59-year-olds, that's my group as well, 27%, and the 60 plus is 3%. So that gives you a little glimpse into this. I might do this again sometime. I haven't heard other podcasts do this, but I think why not? Why not let you know? Because it might be interesting you to identify yourself in that demographic and know that you might be possibly the only one listening from your country, or there might be others in your country listening with you. Anyway, so we'll do that again at some point in the future. And keep you updated. So, in the next episode, well, I don't know yet. I'm keeping it freeform for now. There's going to be one more episode at least where we're not going through the book, and then I'll launch into part 3 on FRFA. Obviously, just to say, those stats are obviously just on Anchor, which is my podcast platform, because I'm also uploading to YouTube. Now, the numbers there are low, but as time goes on, those also will have to come into the reckoning. So, next week, I really can't tell you what I'll be doing. But anyway, I hope this episode wasn't too off-putting, and we'll see you next week.